Welcome to Community Partnership Conversations with Inland Northwest Broadcasting. I'm John Carson and delighted to have this morning our guest from Pullman Rotary, Eric Hollenbeck. Welcome in.
Thanks for
Welcome to the
having me.
show.
Yes, it is great to be here. I've really been enjoying the conversations that you've been having, so I was really eager to come in and talk about Rotary and share a little bit about all the cool things we have going on within our club.
That's awesome. And we, as you can kind of see, we try to get content that's things that people will care about, events, organizations, and service clubs are, I think, foundational to how communities operate around the country.
Yeah,
and the world.
Yeah, I could not agree more. In fact, watching the interview with the Kiwanis Club that you had on was kind of what made me think, oh, I need to reach out to John and see if I can come on and share a little bit about what we're doing, because I truly believe things like acts of service or the opportunities you can find through service clubs is not only great for the intrinsic reward of doing good, but I think that there's like a lot of opportunities to help develop your leadership skills, help build your network for a greater good. So there's a lot of great benefits, I think, to being engaged in service clubs and service work.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you give us a rundown of like the background? Because a lot of people have probably heard of Rotary. Virtually every city that you drive into across the country, you see the signs when you come into town, the Rotary International. But for those who are kind of unfamiliar, tell us a little bit about the history of Rotary Club and what it is.
Sure. So Rotary is basically a network, a worldwide network of Rotary clubs. There's about 45,000 Rotary clubs around the world operating out of 200 countries. Membership worldwide is about 1.2 million people.
Wow.
And so the common misconception that I run into when I'm out in the community is that here, kind of in our area, there's a very kind of narrow view of what a Rotary Club looks like. Often it's viewed as just kind of like a social club where people get together and have lunch and, talk about ideas and things like that. But when I started in Rotary, I kind of had a very similar misconception on what it was. And over the years, as I've become more engaged, I've realized, and it's really opened my eyes to just how big the network is around the world. So specifically about our club, we were chartered in 1948. So we have been operating in Pullman more than 75 years. And, again, on the kind of basic level, it's a club where typically business professionals or those who want to find ways to get involved in the community meet, and we invite guest speakers in to kind of listen to what's going on in the community and just kind of learn and things like that. But as I said, on a much larger scale, it's about service not only within our community but worldwide. Rotary International is known, I think, probably most known for their efforts in worldwide polio eradication.
Yeah.
That's one of their kind of overarching missions.
Yeah.
And up until like 1998, those efforts resulted in about a 99.9% reduction in wild polio. So Rotary International as an organization has really taken the lead on that. And that's an initiative that started late 70s, and then just through network building and partnering with other organizations, that's kind of their major focus. But through the club itself, we kind of focus on different avenues of service, what it's called.
Yeah.
So the avenues of service are like community service, youth service, club service, international service. And then we just find ways to kind of align our work with that.
Yeah. So with the successful, I don't want to say eradication because I mean it's not completely gone, but
Right.
I mean it's dramatically reduced. So that was a big focus. What is sort of the next focus or focuses of Rotary International as far as like big effort
Yeah,
goes? Yeah.
so at the international level, there's a big focus on what's called like peace building.
Oh,
So
okay.
going and learning and developing leadership skills to engage in conflict resolution. Things like humanitarian aid falls under that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but Rotary has built and is continuing to grow a network of what's called Peace Fellows, and they have actual like educational institutes where people can go in and learn these leadership skills. And then
Okay.
you take that out into the world, not only through your community, but into other communities around the world.
Yeah.
It's all of those like interpersonal skills developments that I think we learn or we hear about when we're growing up, when we're in school or we're in college. We often are told learning the soft skills,
Yeah.
and Rotary International kind of like takes that and supercharges it.
Yeah.
And I think, even if for people who are not, even if you don't have an interest in like international work, I think a lot of those skills are transferable, certainly to your own community.
Yeah.
Through things, like I said, like conflict resolution or finding ways to talk with other people who might have a different perspective. There's many times that, we find ourselves as community members trying to accomplish some bigger goal, and the skills to be able to work with people of, different perspectives or different cultures, those are hugely valuable and
Yeah.
essential to getting the job done. So
Absolutely.
Rotary puts a big focus on that, which I think is really great. And there's a lot of opportunities to engage in that kind of work through Rotary.
Sure. And I mean, we are in a time now where there's a lot of division, and the unification is really important for any point of progress, right?
Oh, yeah.
On a local level or international, abroad. But that's an important thing to have right now is good communication and perspective, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And that is another, great thing about Rotary is that membership into the clubs, it is non-political, non-religious. So, we really do try to engage with and welcome people of all perspectives. The only real kind of requirement is that you have a focus on, doing good and contributing into the world. One of the mottos in Rotary is service above self. So, it's really identifying ways to improve your community through acts of service, or improve the larger global community through acts of service.
I love that. Tell me about the makeup of the Pullman Club, because you've been involved. I've known you for a long time,
Yeah.
and you've been involved with Rotary for a long time. So I want to talk about your history with the club here in a minute, but I also want to just talk about the makeup of the club. What does it look like? Where do you meet? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Who are the leadership that keep the club running and thriving?
Sure. Yeah. So just to kind of talk a little bit about the structure of a Rotary Club, we are a dues paying club. So our membership dues are $90 per quarter, so 4 times a year. And those fees go toward things like our administrative operations, right? Keeping our club moving because
Right.
we're a nonprofit organization.
Right.
And then we also, our dues go in to support initiatives within our district. So every Rotary Club is part of a district. Our district is called District 5080, and we operate in Eastern Washington up through North Idaho and then up into Alberta, Canada.
Yeah.
And so we are an international district by definition, which is fabulous. And there's I believe, 60 clubs now within our district.
Okay.
At the club level, our membership right now, we're a rather small club. We like to say we're small but mighty. So we have about 20 to 25 members right now, and that includes active members. We have classifications like honorary membership and things like that.
Sure.
And then the makeup of the club is really great because we have, retirees, retired educators. There's individuals who, have very distinguished careers as educators at Washington State University.
Yeah.
We have business owners. So we have entrepreneurs, people with families, young kids. It's really a diverse mix of individuals. Let's see.
Do you meet weekly or
We
monthly?
meet. So yeah, that's a great point. We meet every 2 weeks. So our club meetings are on the first and third Wednesdays of the month, and we meet from noon to 1 p.m. At Zeppo's in Pullman.
Okay.
And so in their little conference space.
Nice.
And as I had mentioned before, typically our meetings, we come in and there's usually about 10 to 15 minutes of what we call fellowship. So that's just catching up with other members.
Yeah.
Talking, sharing information, all of that stuff, seeing what everyone's been up to.
Yeah.
And then usually we will go through, our club and business announcements. So there'll be things from Rotary International that we'll be sharing with memberships, initiatives, all of that kind of stuff. And then we'll usually have a guest speaker who comes in. So, for example, recently we had the team from Schweitzer Engineering Wellness Center come in, and they shared updates about the wellness center that they're building when they purchased the pool in Pullman. And so that was really cool to hear, not only what they're doing internally to support like employee wellness, but also in the community, what their kind of mission and vision is. And so we invite a lot of like civic leaders and other nonprofits in as well. And I think that's another really kind of enriching part of Rotary, is that it allows our members and our guests to kind of learn about what's going on as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, we have a board meeting. So we have an executive board team, and it's made up of our club president.
Okay.
We have
Who's your club president?
Our club president, his name is Jess Downs. He is he's actually an independent sales consultant.
Interesting.
And so he worked for years in robotic surgical equipment. He managed a sales team, and he operated his kind of sales region was in like Asia.
Okay.
And so kind of connecting how we use our like professional skills within Rotary. He goes out and, he's come to like the Carson College of Business at WSU and talked to our international sales students about what it takes to, kind of lead a sales team, skills that he's developed over his career on, cultural competencies and engaging with relationship building with people of other cultures. So I think, kind of going back to Rotary just in general, there's a lot of opportunities to use our what's called vocational skills and be either people of influence or going out and connecting and educating and training and mentoring, young people. So we have, like the typical club secretary, club treasurer.
Okay.
I serve on the board as the chair of our international service committee.
Okay.
And so that was one of the areas that really drew me into the club.
Okay. And why is that?
Well, a couple reasons. First and foremost, when I was getting my MBA at Washington State University, so this was 2007 through 2009, I had the opportunity to do a study abroad program one summer. It was a very brief study abroad. It was about a month.
Okay.
But I was in Switzerland, and I traveled all over, and just that experience alone
Yeah.
kind of like flipped a switch on
Sure.
wanting to do kind of bigger and better things with my life, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Meaning that like it just really opened my perspective that, there's more to the world than just what I had seen growing up here in Eastern Washington.
Sure.
I consider myself a local boy. I grew up down in Clarkston, and
Yeah.
so going to another country for the first time was one of those things that, really like changed my perspective for the better.
Yes.
And as I was kind of learning more about Rotary and thinking about getting involved, kind of to align or give a little bit of backstory, I had just returned to WSU in 2018 to start a job at the College of Business. And prior to that, I worked here in Moscow for Gritman Medical Center. And part of my job was doing community relations. So I was out in the community a lot.
Yeah.
Through, just doing health fairs or going out to our towns like Potlatch and Kendrick, where there's clinics, and doing a lot of those events.
Yep.
And when I moved or took the position at Washington State University, what I quickly found is I started missing the community engagement aspect.
Yeah.
And so Rotary, I thought, was a great avenue to get back out and do that. At the time, my son was starting his freshman year in high school here in Moscow, and I knew the reputation that Rotary had for international service, specifically Rotary Youth Exchange.
Okay.
And so, to give a shout out to the Moscow Rotary Club, they have a phenomenal youth exchange program. In fact, their fundraising that you see every Saturday at the farmers market,
Selling the kettle corn.
selling the kettle corn. One of the initiatives that those funds go to is their youth exchange program.
Gotcha.
I never benefited or really knew about youth exchange when I was in high school, but I had some friends who went through it, and
Okay.
they had talked about things you will hear quite often for anyone that does an exchange of any kind, is that it is transformational.
Yeah.
So I saw Rotary as an avenue to kind of bring that opportunity to my son.
That's cool.
And then also at that same time, I learned about a project that the Pullman Rotary Club had done maybe about a decade or so ago, so around 2006. And they had done what's called a water project in a village in Tanzania, Africa. And it's basically, they had Rotarians from our club, hands on the ground, building not only a clean water storage container, but also, all of the plumbing that can deliver that
Sure.
to the village to help, or to basically make it so people in the village weren't having to, traverse miles and miles and miles and miles to get water.
Every day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are things that I think, and I know for me, we take for granted in our
Yes.
everyday life.
Yes.
And so just learning about that really made international service kind of like an aspect that I really wanted to be a part of, because I started to envision myself on the ground in another country doing work like that.
Yeah.
Thinking like, what better way is there to spend my time than, doing something like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when I joined, it was January of 2020.
Yeah.
And, 3 months later,
Right.
there was this major event that shut down the world.
Yes.
And so that kind of wiped out the plans of doing international service at that time.
Right.
My son did not get to go on the youth exchange,
Oh, no.
unfortunately.
Where
Yeah.
was he planning on going?
Well, we hadn't even gotten that
okay.
far yet.
Okay.
But yeah, the international youth exchange program, I believe it was paused for about 3 years. So
Yeah.
it didn't get up and running again until I think late 2022.
Okay.
But I know that's a very long-winded answer for your question about
No.
how I got
No,
involved
that's-
with international service. But that has been the thing that's kind of been like, for me, my kind of personal interest. I have, been working as the chair of our international service committee to help not only support international programs around the world. So our club has invested in some other clubs' international programs. But about 3 years ago, we were able to launch and partner with a club in Nairobi, Kenya.
Okay.
And we are actively working. In fact, this is kind of we're in the last month of wrapping up a school revitalization project,
Awesome.
which I think is going to be amazing. But essentially, it's taking a rural village or a rural classroom in Kenya and revitalizing it from the ground up. So this is like a dirt floor classroom, busted out windows, roofs leaking. Everything is getting repaired, modernized, and it will be a fully secure working computer lab serving
Wow.
800 students in this particular village that we're partnering in. And it is giving computer and digital access to children who have never had anything like that.
Wow.
This is the partner club that our club is working with in Nairobi. It's the Rotary Club of Nairobi Langata. This is actually a project that was also inspired and spurred from COVID, because they experienced, like many of us, that once everything shut down and kids couldn't go to school, kids without internet access, we saw it here in our rural communities.
Yeah.
Well,
What do you do?
Same thing happens, halfway around the world.
Yeah.
And so our school, which is really exciting, is going to be the 11th school that's been done since 2021 as part of this project.
Okay.
And our partner club in Kenya has shared data with us on test scores improving, the rate in which kids are now advancing from one grade to another has totally changed for the better.
Wow.
And since 2021, every school that has been revitalized and has had one of these computer labs installed is still going strong. In fact, they're finding additional benefits that they didn't even expect. So not just that these students are improving in their literacy and education and test scores, but these computer labs are starting to become a kind of community hub for many women in the village who are now using the internet to build e-commerce stores and sell their handmade items, which is then, an economic driver within their community.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing. In fact, we have a visiting Rotarian who came to our club back in late 2022. She was enrolled or is enrolled at WSU in the PhD program in communications. And she is from the Rotary Club of Nairobi Langata, where this project is going on. And we kind of connected, and as she has been involved with our club in Pullman over the past few years, it's just been a great experience in terms of learning, or really not learning, but reinforcing that there is a very common thread that ties every human being together.
Yes.
And despite, all of that, the what I call like surface level stuff that we tend to really get hyper focused on.
Yeah.
For the most part, every person I've ever met kind of wants the fundamental things.
Yeah.
We want to be able to have a good job and be able to support our family, and we want to see our kids healthy, and we want to see our kids have opportunities.
Exactly.
And so I think that's just another great thing about Rotary is that when you get to engage in these types of international projects, for sure, it does remind you of those kind of bigger things on what it means to be like a human in this world. So that has just been a very kind of inspiring project for our club through the international work that we're doing.
Yeah. Who got you involved in Rotary? Who recruited you to Rotary?
Yeah, so I don't know if sponsor is the right word, but my Rotary sponsor is Debbie Dawkins.
Right.
So many listeners, I'm sure, know Debbie.
Yes.
So I met Debbie when I started at Gripman. Right. So this was like May of 2010.
Uh-huh.
And at that time, she was the director of volunteer services.
Right.
And I remember like meeting her, and she was just one of those people that you could tell had like a servant heart, that we call it.
Yes.
And I was just so impressed from the get-go of how she led and advocated for our junior volunteer program, or Gritman's junior volunteer program.
Uh-huh.
So this is like the high school age students that come in and volunteer in the hospital.
Yeah.
And they also would help me in my work at Gritman out at the health fairs.
Sure.
So then I started to like really hear them talk about all the exciting stuff that they were doing. And then I, had over time, had the opportunity to work with Debbie on a few other projects. So while we were still at Gritman, she was one of the co-founders of the Light a Candle program.
Yep.
So that program provides resources to people in Latah County and Whitman County who are battling cancer. And the gist of it was, just getting resources into people's hands and trying to make it as streamlined as possible, not making people jump through hoops.
Yep.
It wasn't based on any financial need or anything. It was purely like, we just want to help people who are
you have
battling.
the challenge and all that comes with that, having to travel sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah. So we were doing things like providing people with grocery carts to help them out, or housekeeping services, because as people are going through cancer treatment,
you can't move.
And you're just exhausted.
Exactly.
And it was really, the idea was, we just want people to know that like you're not alone in this. And again, it kind of coincides with a lot of the work that Debbie was doing at the hospital. She ran the Cancer Resource Center that was partnered with the American Cancer Society. So very much all in alignment.
Yeah.
And then, I've had the opportunity to work with her again over the years as she founded and built the Northwest Cancer Foundation of Hope that operates very similarly and is going strong. Many people in the community know about that. Mm-hmm. When I went to Washington State University and was looking for those opportunities to get out in the community, my good friend Debbie said, well, have you ever thought about Rotary?
Yeah.
And I hadn't at the time because, as I mentioned early on in the conversation, I had a lot of the misconceptions as well, that I was like, oh, this is just a club where, a bunch of people just get together and they're having lunch and, chatting, and that's it.
Yeah.
I started attending club meetings, and I really had the benefit of meeting some great mentors who unfortunately are no longer with us, but one member in particular, John Brewer, he is was a retired German professor at WSU. Mm-hmm. He was a former club president. He was also a leader within our district at a position called district governor. So they're kind of like, they oversee the entire district.
Yeah. He
had been on multiple international projects, and was just one of those people that no matter who came into our club, he was the first to greet you and welcome you, and just the biggest heart.
Yeah.
And talking with him, talking with other members, and knowing that there was an opportunity now for greater things as you engaged in Rotary outside the club level, in district or internationally, I was like, oh, my kind of assumptions of what Rotary is are not what they are.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how everything evolved on how I got involved, and then have progressed and started to like really try to engage at a much greater level.
Yeah. I think that it's one of the, like, if you're involved in any nonprofits on a board level or volunteer level, or you're engaged in those service type of organizations, whether it be, the Eagles, the Moose, the Rotary, the Lions Club, Kiwanis Club, it's easy to get once you're involved in it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I think for those on the outside, they think, well, I never have time, or I never have, this or that. And I say this to those who aren't necessarily involved in an organization like that. And this expands even to churches and things like that. But like, it's easy to think I can't, but the amount of time, if you give a little bit and we have a collective that's all giving a little bit, it makes a huge impact.
Oh yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree with that. A point kind of you made me think of with Rotary for sure is, I always like to tell people when I'm talking to them about opportunities or how to get involved is that Rotary in a lot of communities have more than one club. Now, in Pullman and Moscow and even in Colfax, we're a little bit smaller, so we don't quite have the membership to support multiple clubs. But like in places like Coeur d'Alene within our district, there's 3 different Rotary clubs, and they meet at different times. So there is a traditional kind of like noon to 1 lunch club,
right? But
there's also one that meets after work. So that helps with those busy professionals that can't get away during the day, and gives them another opportunity maybe to meet and engage in a club at a different time. They also have a morning group. So that's the other thing that's cool about Rotary, is that it really tries to be accommodating in the sense that, for me, it's not just like, hey, we want more people joining our club. I'd like to see more people just joining Rotary.
Sure.
And there's also opportunities, if you can't do physical clubs, that there's e-clubs available where they meet online.
Yeah.
And so we have a club within our district called the Columbia River Passport, and that includes members from Pullman, Moscow, I think Potlatch, but also Spokane, in those areas. And so because those members can't meet in a physical space, they meet online. So you can be a Rotarian and find, like an e-club. So the model of what Rotary looks like is really changing. And the other thing that I always say is like, attend a meeting and see what it's about. And if it doesn't kind of like, jibe with you.
Yeah. Doesn't pull you in, then you'll know.
Yeah. Or attend a meeting somewhere else, or an e-meeting, and maybe you'll find that group. Totally. Or maybe look to another service club and see when Kiwanis are meeting, or see when Lions are meeting, or see when Eagles are meeting. The overall thing I think that we should be doing collectively, right, as service groups and organizations, is just inspiring and promoting getting involved in service work, no matter what, club you end up joining or are aligned with.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I want to talk about a specific effort that Pullman Rotary is working on, and that is the water fountain project.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So this is the Rotary Memorial Fountain Project, and this is kind of our flagship project. that we have going on. It's been in development for about 3 years, and in March, we just launched the public awareness and fundraising efforts. So that's really exciting. But essentially, the gist of the project is a few years ago, there were a couple residents in Pullman who took their dog down to the Pullman City Playfield, so the baseball fields down in Pullman.
Yep.
And they took their dog around the track. And when I was interacting with them, they said, "Hey, did you know that there's no water fountains where dogs can get a drink down at City Playfield?" And I said, "Oh, no, I wasn't aware of that." And they said, aren't fountains something Rotary does?" And at that time, I had not, no, maybe I was like 2 months into my first term as club president.
Okay.
And we were looking at finding a kind of major project to do in Pullman. And so light bulb went off when they said that. And also, I had mentioned earlier John Brewer, who was in our club.
Yeah.
So John had recently passed away. So in I believe it was early 2022, so around January.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, John was he was the epitome of that servant leader.
Yeah.
And, somebody who truly put service above self for Rotary.
Yeah.
And John was a lover of animals, and he would bring his dog William to our service project events. So when we would do like park cleanups, or we would do other community work, we do an international student welcome picnic, things like that, right?
Yeah.
Things we were doing in the community. William would be there by his side, and the club kind of made William our unofficial mascot, right?
Sure.
So it really did feel like, very fortuitous, or just like the stars were aligning when those community members said, aren't fountains something Rotary does?
Yeah.
I thought I could see all those pieces coming together, and I said, yes, that is something that they can do. And so our thought as a club, and we developed out a plan, was to replace the broken and outdated fountains down at the City Playfield with units that were accessible, not only under the Americans with Disability Act, so accessible to people who have disabilities, but we also wanted to have self-draining pet bowls, so people who take their dogs for a walk around the river walk trail perimeter that goes around those fields would have a place where their dogs get a drink.
Yeah.
And so our club, very early on, we reached out to Pullman Parks and Rec, and Kurt, the director over there, was very receptive to
Awesome.
To having us partner on that. And so we started kind of like coming up with ideas on what we could do. And, as a result of those efforts, we are now actively fundraising to put in 2 new fountain units at the City Playfield.
Okay.
And how we're supporting that is through kind of a number of different ways. So first and foremost, we are working with a local mason who is helping us design a custom brick kind of landing pad walkway,
Okay.
where people who would like to support the project and perhaps honor a loved one who's passed, or even a pet that has passed,
Yeah.
or celebrate a milestone or anything like that, they can purchase a custom engraved brick, which once we have raised enough money to bring those fountains in, we will place these bricks around the base of it as a kind of
cool.
living memorial.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that again is kind of tied to the spirit of John Brewer and
Yeah.
his love of animals. And in fact, the Pullman couple who had brought this kind of idea or made, had commented to me about the missing or the broken fountains. They had two dogs that recently passed away, and they were totally like on board to be like, if there was a way we could memorialize our dogs, we're all about it. And so when we finally got the infrastructure together to start taking orders for the custom bricks, we made sure that they were the first to be able to purchase theirs for their dogs. So
that's really cool.
That was really fun. But yeah.
How many bricks are available at this point? Is the inventory crisis apparent, and is it time to buy now, or?
Well, I mean, I will say this. Now is always the time to buy, because the more bricks we sell, the sooner we'll be able to get the fountains installed.
Right.
But each space will be able to accommodate up to, I believe, about 220 bricks.
Okay.
And so between the two spaces, that's 440. But we don't need to necessarily sell all of those bricks to get it going. Right. So right now, as of today, we have raised a little bit over $6,100.
Okay.
Our overall project goal is $22,000, and that's for both units and purchasing all the bricks, getting plumbing, all the landscaping, all the finishing, and everything.
Sure.
But as soon as we're able to raise that first $11,000, so half of our $22,000 total goal, we can get going on the first fountain.
Nice.
And so we're over halfway there right now.
Okay.
That's been through a combination of both brick sales and some business partnerships.
Okay.
So I will give a huge credit right now to Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories. They were one of the first businesses to come on board and support this financially. So that's been fabulous. There's been some other great local businesses that have been working with us in different ways to help get the word out. So Heather with Home and Harvest Magazine, she has been great in helping us spread the word through her network, and we're hoping to, get some stories out, hopefully through her magazine, to help share the story of what the project is as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Tawny over at Rico's has been hugely supportive and a great advocate of the project as well.
Awesome.
As I mentioned, Kurt and his team at Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
So we're slowly building, a great fan base and group of community advocates, because we are a volunteer organization.
Right.
We do have to commit, we can't commit our 40 hours per week to this.
Exactly.
So sometimes I get a little impatient because I want it to go much quicker, but the gains that we have made thus far have been great. Rosars in Moscow has been another great partner on that.
Awesome.
Megan, who's their store manager, she's one of our Rotary members. And so I think that's another great thing that you can see through these projects, is it really does show the connections and these relationships and why they matter to bringing like really cool things into the community.
Yeah.
And the work to go out and share about these projects. It's very easy for me to like go out and talk about something that we're doing good in the community about. That gets me excited.
Easy to talk about. Yeah.
And so just being at different like events and fairs, we're starting to hear some great feedback from community members, like things like, are you going to put one of these fountains in Sunnyside Park? Are you going to put one of these fountains in Rainy Park? Because they really need them down there too.
Yeah.
Which then makes me go, well, there's a greater need that we just saw down at City Playfields, but now we're hearing more from community members. So what my ultimate hope is that once we get our first fountain in at the City Playfield, that will serve as this kind of, now we have this tangible
Yeah, you can
thing you
show
can see
people.
and
Yeah.
understand. But yeah, so far our progress has been really, really fantastic. And so the brick sales is one way to support it. We do take general donations as well in any amount. So we have the ability to collect, or people to make either one-time or recurring donations through our website. We have a
Okay.
project page on our website at pullmanrotary.org
Where you can purchase the
where you
brick.
can purchase the brick or you can make a general donation.
Okay.
On our navigation page, we have our current projects, and you can find on the drop down the Rotary Memorial Fountain Project, and it'll give you the larger scope of what the project is about, how to
Sure.
support it, and links to purchasing a brick. We're working with an outside vendor who's managing all the inventory on that as well, so that's another nice thing.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have to hold, hundreds of bricks
Yeah.
in somebody's garage.
Right.
So it's going to be great. And then other areas which we're looking to help fund is another cool thing about Rotary is that through Rotary International, which is the charitable arm, or the Rotary Foundation, which is the charitable arm of Rotary, we have the opportunity to apply for matching grants. And so because now we're a little bit over the halfway mark for the first fountain, that puts us in a position to apply for a Rotary grant where we can get matching funds to really help fast track that.
Nice.
And our club actually we're reestablishing our record of success on that. So the international project that I worked on, or that I told you about, is also the beneficiary of a Rotary grant. And so our club was able to raise, with the grant, we raised more than $16,000 for that project. So we helped contribute to over half of what it took to get that school together. And then we partnered with others. So again, it's the power of networking, both international but locally, right?
Yes.
We could not do this without community partners and opportunities. And then then there's always opportunities if an interested business owner or business is interested in talking in some way or trying to develop a partnership. We would love to talk about what that would look like.
Sure.
And I always tell people I'm great at going out and hyping up things. So if you come on board and partner with us, I will make sure that it is well known, because I am not shy about going out and really giving individuals and organizations their due credit. This is not an Eric Hollenbeck or a Rotary Club success story. We're the drivers of it, but it really does take the community to make something like this happen.
Yeah.
So I have been totally thrilled with our progress thus far, and I know that as this evolves, more excitement is just going to build. We just need to help continue to get the word out and spread awareness about it.
Yeah. As we wrap things up, for someone who's hearing about this and thinking like, oh, that doesn't sound half bad. What's going on with Rotary in Pullman or Rotary in Moscow or Colfax?
Yeah.
What's the best avenue for someone who's interested to get to that first lunch meeting? Is it the website? Is it social media? I mean, how do people connect to get
Yeah, I would say it's kind of a combination.
Okay.
So definitely I would say if anybody, listening today was interested in learning more about Rotary, the easiest way and the lowest pressure way is to go look us up, on the web.
Yeah.
So every club has their own club websites. So we're at pullmanrotary.org.
Okay.
If you're in Moscow and you're interested in Moscow's Rotary, you can, do a web search and easily find their club. Or you can go to Rotary International,
Okay.
and if you just
Search for a region or
yeah.
yeah.
And through there, they do have club locators, so you can
Sure.
find not only physical clubs but e-clubs.
E-clubs.
Yep.
Okay.
The other thing is with Pullman Rotary, specifically because I can talk about our efforts. We're active on both Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
So that's a great way to just kind of see what we're up to. We share a lot of photos, not only from our club meetings, but also the events we do out in the community
Yeah.
and updates on our projects. So that's another great way to just learn more. And then coming and joining a club meeting. So our meetings are open to anyone to come in and check out
And be a guest
and be a
just
guest. Yeah.
and just see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can, show up for Pullman, on one of those first or third Wednesdays.
As Zappos.
Yep, at Zeppos, yes, from noon to 1. So
Yeah.
show up a little bit before noon,
Yeah.
hang out, have lunch with us, chat with Rotarians. We're a pretty friendly group. And so that's another great way. Or, you can also email the club.
Yeah.
So our email address for our club is rotarypullman@gmail.com.
Okay.
And you can just reach out to inquire a little bit more. So
Sure.
multiple avenues. Yeah. And then I'm pretty active on LinkedIn as like a professional, and I use that a lot for both, advocating for my work and Rotary stuff. So
Absolutely.
anybody that, if anyone's interested in connecting through there, they can easily find me,
Yeah.
Eric Hollenbeck.
Yeah.
And I'm more than happy to talk with people individually too about Rotary and my experience and the club experience as well.
Yeah. Well, we sure appreciate you being here on Community Partnership Conversations today. Very interesting and compelling reasons to get involved in a service organization. And I think you could do a lot worse than joining Pullman Rotary or Moscow Rotary or Colfax Rotary if you're in the area, right?
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah, it's for me, it's been something that has really changed my life in a lot of positive ways.
Yeah.
Not only through the acts of service, but just leadership and learning opportunities.
Yeah.
If for anybody at any stage, if you're somebody with what I call like a growth mindset and
Yep.
you're always wanting to learn and evolve,
Yep.
things like Rotary, things like Kiwanis, things like Lions, Eagles, service clubs, service work in general, I believe there's no better avenue to kind of find those types of opportunities through that type of service work.
Yeah. Totally agreed. Well, thanks for joining us today, Eric. And we'll have to have you back and give us a progress report on how things are going. And maybe you could bring another Rotarian with you.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
absolutely love to do that.
All right.
So thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate, you giving me time to talk about Rotary.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we'll put the links when we post this. And there's lots of avenues that you can find information about the Pullman Rotary Club. Like Eric mentioned, pullmanrotary.org, Facebook and Instagram. Email them as well. And like I said, we'll put those links in. So thanks for joining Community Partnership Conversations here on Inland Northwest Broadcasting. I'm John Carson, and we'll talk to you next time.